Season 1 of Bee and Puppycat was originally released on YouTube as a series of minisodes with just over an hour in combined length. Following its success, it would produce 13 new episodes intended for a second season called Lazy in Space, with a bigger budget and more traditional runtime of 22 minutes per episode. The series was then bought by Netflix, who decided that instead of just releasing Season 2, they would reboot Season 1 to be of similar quality and structure to Season 2, turning it into 3 22-minute episodes. These 3 episodes, with the combined 13 originally meant as Season 2, are now what is called Volume 1 on Netflix, with the possibility that a second volume could follow up, wrapping up the show. Today, we're just going to be talking about the differences that these 3 new episodes have from the original Season 1 that they were modeled after. But more Bee and Puppycat videos are coming, so hit that subscribe button so you don't miss them. Episode 1 mostly retells the story of the pilot, featuring Bee meeting Puppycat, helping with temp work, and hearing his backstory as a space pirate. All of these moments are expanded upon in various ways, including more explanations on how the temp space works, and focus on other characters that were originally introduced later in the show. One big change we got here was seeing how Bee actually got fired from Howl's Cat Cafe. Despite her history as a bad worker, it would seem Deckard actually caused the fire that got Bee fired, making him feel guilty. Bee meets Puppycat similar to in the pilot, but this time wishes out loud that she had some sort of pet to take care of, such as a cat. A stark contrast from the original series, where Puppycat doesn't like to be thought of as Bee's pet. She takes him home, and we see a recreation of the original ice crotch scene, but during it we get a quick look at Toast, hiding in the walls of the house and spying on Cass, a really fun way to bring her in a little bit early for the big fans of the show, wondering where she might have been in the early half of the original first season, before she was introduced. Additionally, Cass's previous interest in wrestling is brought up, with it being treated like a dream she gave up on by Deckard. In this reboot, Bee convinces Puppycat that being a pet is an ideal way of life, and he gets her temp work through his space temp agency so she can take care of him. Like in the original pilot, Puppycat and Bee have to take care of a baby. However, this time it is on a daycare planet instead of a fishbowl planet. Like in the pilot, the baby cries until Puppycat tells him his story, but in the reboot it comes with much updated and beautiful animation. The story remains the same, however, which is about a space pirate, Puppycat, falling in love with a space princess, and the two deciding to run off together. When he arrives in the meadow to meet her, he is instead met by warlocks who try to use a spell to capture him. This spell instead turns the space pirate into a monster, or into Puppycat, and then Puppycat has to go on the run, trying to escape the princess's minions. Like in the pilot, the baby turns into a monster after hearing Puppycat's story, a monster we later learn to be his grade school teacher. Because this monster alien was in charge of some schools, it was able to create fake temp work jobs to lure Puppycat in. In this form, he was not immediately recognized, but through his story, the teacher was able to figure out Puppycat's identity and reveal herself. They destroy this monster and return home, even getting paid. In the original pilot, this baby fish that turned into the monster was believed to be an innocent life, and many fans wondered what would happen when its mother returned home. Some comics even explored this plot, with Bee and Puppycat having to collect the pieces of Wallace to try and put him back together. But this also never had a conclusion from what I've read, and Wallace's fate was left a mystery. Bee tucks Puppycat in back at home, which is about where the pilot story originally ended, but a few new scenes were added on here to give fans of the original something extra to look forward to. While sleeping, Puppycat has a dream of a young girl, obviously a young Bee, babysitting her on the island and even taking her to her father's arcade. We end up seeing Bee's father here, such a rare occurrence in the original show. Now it's in the first episode for the series. He thanks Puppycat for watching Bee, apologizes for not having his ship done, as he says, and promises to find a way to let Puppycat know when it is, but in the meantime, Puppycat zooms off into space. Episode 2 differs from the rest of the series in that it features several temp space jobs, taking the ones from episodes 1 through 6 of the YouTube series, but also adding in a temp job unique to the comics. This temp work job was a quick favorite of mine and involved Bee and Puppycat on a snow globe planet trying to fix a music box. The music box has character pieces that allude to the fates of the characters in the show, with Bee finding their placement so depressing. She questions who would ever want a music box like it to be fixed. More on this in a future upcoming theory video. This episode opened with Bee and Puppycat watching Pretty Patrick and their toilet being jammed up by Bee's canned food, requiring the help of Cardamon like in the original series. This time, however, Puppycat also accidentally hits a button that turns on the power of an underwater room, taking all the power from the island. One thing this reboot does differently from the original is having Cardamon meet his dog Sticky in this second episode, instead of her being a long-established pet like she appeared to be in the original. She shows up at random, with two small puppies serving as royal attendants of sorts, making Cardamon see her as a princess. We also see Toast interact with Cass and tell the story of how she emotionally manipulated Cass in order to defeat her. Here, she threatens to find a way to permanently move into Cass's home using one of her brothers, better setting up the reveal in Season 2 that she is pregnant by one of them. While doing temp jobs around these planets, Bee and Puppycat are chased by the Dark Hands, who we knew from Season 2 leaks to be after Puppycat for one reason or another. This was something that didn't make much sense with their introduction in Season 1, where they are absent until the one mission of Bee and Deckard in space, where Puppycat isn't even there. This plot is of course the plot of the original finale, which was stretched across several minisodes, making it almost as long as a normal episode of this new series, with episode 3 being able to cover all of it, but still adding a few new pieces here and there. In this episode, it is also her birthday, and we get an introduction to her dad box again, as well as the annual candy that she would get, which she here explains is something she would share with Cardamon each year, who has the same birthday as her. Bee and Puppycat end up at the arcade with Deckard in this new version, with Bee and Deckard still teleporting to temp space without Puppycat by accident, and ending up with the baking job on the donut planet. This time, however, when Bee tries to calm Deckard, we see he has memories of being calmed by Bee when he was younger, though Bee looks entirely the same. This was all building into the reveal that Bee is a robot, of course, something all of us knew from the original reveal back in Season 1 on YouTube, and something being hinted at extra hard in this reboot, more so as a joke for those of us who already knew, with Bee constantly being referred to as a young old lady, because of her youthful appearance but apparent old age. These episodes really explain Deckard's issues with going to cooking school in a way that didn't come across to me in the original. Deckard really just wants to feel loved, and when everyone suggests he leaves, he feels like no one loves him enough to want him to be around, even if everyone is telling him to go because they think it would make him happy, as he always seems to be happy when he is cooking and depressed everywhere else in life. The biggest change to the end of the story came in the form of Bee's father, who is portrayed as possibly dead in the original series. In the leaked Season 2, he appears to be alive and just absent, but is still not around very much, and his appearances are very cryptic. Here, he appears to be watching over Bee from her box always, working away at some bigger project that he needs her help for. Then, of course, there is Cardamon, giving his mother a wish-granting donut, which causes her to cry strange blobs with floating images in them. In the original series, she seemed to be crying jellyfish, and I was surprised when Season 2 leaked and she was crying these blobs instead, making this a change that felt like it was planned before the leaked Season 2 episodes were even started. These jellyfish seem to be alluding to the fairy tale Cardamon's mother told him about how jellyfish were created by a giant octopus who fell in love with a princess's hair. This whole music video seemed to allude to Cardamon's mother getting pregnant, with the father perhaps dying at sea, leaving only Cardamon with his jellyfish-like hair behind with his mother. This was one change I was sad to see, but a lot of new stuff they added in Season 1 was cool and made it fit the story of Season 2 much better. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll be making more Puppycat videos soon, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss them, and I'll see you guys next time.